That UNO are making progress on a new approach to help stop violence before it even starts.
As Laura Sample reports, they've begun testing a chatbot prototype that will eventually be used to help people report critical information to those who need it.
You see a suspicious person lurking around your neighborhood. You feel something's not right, but you don't speak up. Dr. Erin Kearns, a researcher at UNO, says that happens all the time.
Many people in the public understandably don't necessarily know what are things that should be reported.
Dr. Kearns is working on overcoming barriers like this for a new crime reporting system. She's heading a research project along with Dr. Joel Elson at UNO, aimed at getting more complete information from people who report suspicious activity, so those who need the information to help respond can get it quickly. The project is funded by a grant from the Department of Homeland Security.
And so when it comes to suspicious activity reporting, this can often be sensitive or difficult to talk about material, and in some circumstances, using technology instead of a person actually helps to facilitate trust.
So the research team is developing a chatbot, a system where people report suspicious behavior to a computer instead of a live person. Now in phase 2, the team is currently testing a chatbot prototype.
We want to put the power of information sharing into the person who's collaborating, who's being willing to disclose information, to share information.
The chatbot, similar to this one, will be embedded in reporting platforms that already exist, and the information it receives will be fed into existing networks. Elson says the chatbot will help protect people's identities.
We want to make sure that individual feels extremely comfortable and protected. We want to make sure our privacy and our societal values are maintained.
With Kearns' background in criminology and Elson's background in psychology and technology, the team appears to be headed in the right direction. Laura Sample, 6 News.
Researchers are halfway through the project, but say they hope it expands into phase 3.